is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to you with a quick video. I wanted to let you guys know I got some new merchandise available, not just t-shirt anymore. I got different type of t-shirt, different type of shirts and logos that you can purchase on my spread shirt, and also hoodies now. We have expanded and added more to the channel and more merchandise for the brand. Thanks for supporting. It will be in the description and the links will be in the comment section below. Thanks for helping me and supporting the movement. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis. I'm going to check out the video. What's good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to you all with a quick video. We're going to talk about Joe going to the Detroit Pistons. This is what I told a lot of people when I a couple years ago. You can use the Big Three as a platform to show that you can still play. You can use the Big Three as a platform just to increase your brand because you are still playing basketball. You still are showing that you can play at some type of level. And it ended up happening for ISO Joe. Still showing that he can create his own shot, still showing that he can get his own shot, and still showing that he can be a productive player. Really helped his chances of making it back to the NBA. He wasn't in the NBA last year. This year, he really showed out in a Big Three, becoming the MVP and becoming a guy that led them all the way to the championship and won. He was just that clutch. He was just that prepared. He was hungry, and he dominated the game like we haven't seen in the Big Three before. And he was amazing to the point where I had to make a video. Joe Johnson, he should be in the league. He's just that good in the Big Three. Only difference is the competition is a little lower, and that's why Joe Johnson isn't going to be a superstar in the NBA, but he's still showing that he can be an NBA player in general. And I think going to Detroit was a good pickup because it's going to give him a chance to get some real minutes. I think the other teams, he wasn't going to play as much. I think he definitely can play a little bit more in Detroit because they're going to need productive players. This was a team that was desperate for NBA players. This was a team that was desperate for having floor spacing. And when you look at Detroit, they have a decent roster now, especially compared to last year. They have more productive players, more wings. They have more guards. And I think that they needed a guy like Joe Johnson, if I had to be honest, that can really give them a lot of versatility coming off that bench. And I think that a lot of their guys aren't as tall or can't really shoot over other players consistently enough. Even though they had to cut Michael Beasley to get Joe Johnson, I think that Joe Johnson is a guy that is more popular, a wing that can slow down the game, that can get his own shot when he wants to, but also play well off the ball and also be more of a mentor and a leader to a lot of these other guys. And he also can relate to the stars on this team because he has been a multiple-time All-Star. He has been to the playoffs. He has been the man, and he still understands how to play the game and get to his spots and get his shots. But he also can play multiple positions, like the 2 and the 3. And we done seen Joe Johnson even play the small ball 4 sometimes, like in Miami. And I think that those are great qualities and those are great things, and those are things you want to have. But I like Joe Johnson. I feel like I was one of the first people to jump on the bandwagon and say that you got to get this guy back into the league. And I'm just glad that he was able to make it. I had to vouch for him. I was watching, so yeah, you crossing people up, you shooting over people, you hitting threes off the dribble, you hitting the spot up threes, you still showing that you got enough strength and enough speed to get that first step to get to the basket, and he still can get to the free throw line. So he still is a quality player. He's no longer a superstar, no longer an all-star, but he's also 38 years old. And I feel like that's an accomplishment for him to be able to play the way that he played in the Big Three. And he's going to be in shape. He's going to be prepared to play. He's going to be ready to go. And remember, he got signed before training camp, so they can bring him along and they can also teach him the system. And he's already going to be in shape and already in game mode because he left the Big Three. But that's the only difference is he's going to be even more ready because he did lead the Big Three. So I think this is a small pickup. It ain't going to really impact the team drastically, but having another quality player that you can rely on and you know that can do their job and that's not going to complain and whine is always good to have on your team. And Joe Johnson showed that he still has it at this point, and that's something that you want on your team, a guy like Joe Johnson, the guy that can step up in clutch moments if people get injured. He can still knock down big shots. He can still get his shot when he wants to, and I think that that's something that you also want a guy that you can play in the fourth quarter if somebody goes down and still be a reliable option, a guy that can still make big shots and make big plays, and I think he still can do that. He showed that being so clutch in the big three, and he showed that even when he was in Utah, and he showed that even when he was on Houston. So I still feel like I'm glad that he's in the league, and I'm glad that he made a trip back. Now just about maximizing his opportunities and seeing what he can do with Detroit. He ain't gonna be on the championship contender. I'm a little disappointed in that regard. But then again, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You want to be in the NBA, you gotta take the option that you have. I really wanted to see him on a better team, but that's not gonna happen. But he probably can get there next year. You know, this is just a field to get yourself back in the NBA to show that you still can play at this level and show that you have a little bit left in the tank. And he done that in the big three. Now we just got to see if he can do it at the NBA level. But I think um, the general managers really seen the value of a guy like Joe Johnson. That's why I think they made a priority. Once he worked out with the other teams and they didn't work out, they was quickly to sign him up to a workout, and he ended up getting a deal. So that just show you that Joe Johnson in game mode. This guy was obliterating everybody in a big three, and it was got to the point where they had no option for him, to the point where they had to double team him or try to get the ball out of his hands. And that just sounded a little crazy because he's 38 years old. You would think that he'd be old and he can't really do much. But Joe Johnson kept himself in a great shape. He really uses his size and his footwork to his advantage. And that's what you see from a lot of the great players that really turn older, how they can still be productive, is just using your brain a lot more. And I feel like Joe Johnson never was this athletic guy that was running around here dunking and flying all in the air. He was always a guy that was smart and calculated, knowing the angles, knowing how to get by somebody, knowing when to spin off somebody, knowing when to pull up, knowing when to use a dribble to create the space and pull up. I feel like all those small little instruments and all those small little tactics really helped his game evolve as he got older. Because I feel like even in Utah, like, damn, Joe Johnson, you know, he still can play. He's still hitting big shots. He still relied on, and he's 35, 36 years old. But it wasn't a joke. It was just reality that he still was that good of a player at that age. And I think when you look at Joe Johnson, one of the main things I hope he work on is just that 3-point shot. I think that's something that's very important for Joe Johnson, is being able to play off the ball and knock down the three, especially in Detroit when you have a team with players like Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond and Reggie Jackson, who not really known as great shooters. You still want to be able to have that floor spaced out, but you still want to have that guy that can create his own shot if the defense fails, or even if he can't knock down the spot up three, to be able to put the ball on the ground and just be able to make plays, whether it's scoring or just keeping the ball moving or finding the open guy. And I think Joe Johnson definitely can do that still. And I think that that's going to be a dynamic that Detroit needed, especially at that guard and wing position. I like the roster. Other than that, I feel like they really tried to find great players for a great price. And I feel like they have a good diversity of different type of players, like guards and wings and guys that can play defense. And I feel like Detroit, knowing that they capped the way they are, they try to find as much talent for as cheap as possible, but they also found NBA players. They didn't just get people from the G League or people from Summer League. They got people that can legitimately play, and I feel like adding Joe Johnson just adds to that smart GM work. You know, when you had a team with Reggie, Blake Griffin, and Drummond, you only can really get so much better with the contracts that they have right now. And I feel like this is just another smart pickup, just like Tony Snell, just like Derrick Rose, and just like the other players like Morris. This is just another smart move for this Detroit team. And Detroit not really known for making smart moves the last couple of years, but they really have built themselves a solid bench and a solid team. Like I said, I got to give shout outs to Thon McCarr and even Zaza Pachulia to a certain extent if he decides to come back. And other than that, this give them something that they was kind of low key missing. And I think that that will fill the void, and it will give them a guy that can really play well with Morris, that they can play some 2 to 3 or 4 and really get their own shot and isolation and help carry the load for Blake Griffin. I feel like they had to use Blake Griffin so much because they just didn't have the personnel. And I feel like this year they have better personnel. and they have better diversity and they have better dynamics. And you look at it, the coach needed that. Dwayne Casey only had a limited amount of talent, and it probably was frustrating for him to coach this team last year, but he still was able to get them to the playoffs, which a lot of people just like me thought they would, but it was very difficult. They barely got in. So I think having a deeper roster for an NBA season that's a lot more tougher is only going to help this team have another chance of making that 6th, 7th, or 8th spot. But they had to upgrade this roster somehow, unless they were just going to be caught up in the win and be a team that barely misses the playoffs. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think this is a good pickup? Do you think Joe Johnson can really be a great player for them? Do you think he washed up? Do you think he's trash? Do you think he's great? Do you think this is just a move that had to be done? Or do you think this is just another great quality pickup for them at the position and situation that they're in? So whatever you feel, let me know in the comment section below. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis, I'm gone. And don't forget that I'm doing a What to Expect series. I got the Milwaukee Bucks coming up. So if you watch this video and you're new to the channel, I just uploaded the Bucks season preview. And if you watch the Bucks, don't forget to watch the Joe Johnson and like and comment what you feel about this pickup. Like this video, check out my older videos on my channel. I have many playlists. I break down rookies, I break down players, I break down summer league. I do cover the draft, and I got a mock draft up already. Not only that, I do podcasts, and I also talk about the game of basketball, whether it comes to summer league, free agency, trade deadline, buyouts, and also I cover top 10 discussions and stuff like that. So you like this type of video, you like the NBA, check out my older videos and my playlists. I enjoy making these videos. You guys enjoy watching.